When Ferrari calls something a game changer, the paddock holds its breath, not out of respect, but out of fear of what it's hiding. The newly introduced technical directive for the Spanish Grand Prix, masked under the harmless name TD018, is anything but neutral. Behind its official goal, regulating front-wing flexibility, lies a silent war, a calculated strike with Ferrari's fingerprints all over it. Team boss Fred Vasseur called it a game changer. But for whom? The directive tightens the load test requirements for front wings, targeting designs exploiting micro-flexibility to gain downforce. Who's mastered this subtle aero trick better than anyone? Red Bull, and they knew this storm was coming. Charles Leclerc let it slip. There are paddock rumors that some teams will be more affected than others. Was that just gossip, or a coded message from within? Ferrari is painting itself as the victim, but what if the truth is more sinister? What if they orchestrated this move behind closed FIA doors, setting the stage for their redemption by crippling rivals? And what if Hamilton is not just a recruit, but the pawn in Ferrari's political endgame? This isn't innovation, this is silent war disguised as regulation. If he knew the car was flawed, why sign the deal? Because sometimes you have to infiltrate the system to burn it from within. Monaco wasn't just another disappointing race for Lewis Hamilton, it was a coded declaration. The newly uncovered team radio messages between him and engineer Riccardo Adami weren't mere technical frustrations, they were signals. Hamilton's tone was cold, surgical, he questioned calls, ignored instructions, and beneath it all, a clear pattern: mistrust. When Hamilton joined Ferrari, the narrative was glory, a legendary team, a historic comeback. But behind the curtain, reality bites harder. The setup in Monaco was off. Again, brake feel, unstable, rear grip, inconsistent. And no, this wasn't weather. This was deliberate chaos. Hamilton didn't come to Ferrari blind. He knew the ghosts of political favoritism and internal misfires. But that's exactly why he came, to rip the curtain open. His gamble isn't just about the title, it's about revealing how deep the rot runs. The radio silence after his complaints? That wasn't oversight. It was resistance from within, and every frustrated message is another crack in Ferrari's smiling facade. A driver can shout, but it's the silence of the engineer that screams betrayal. Riccardo Adami, Hamilton's race engineer at Ferrari, isn't just a technician, he's a gatekeeper. His role? Filter information, shape feedback, control the narrative between driver and garage, and in Monaco, he said too little, at the worst moments. While Hamilton wrestled with the car on the edge, Adami's answers came late, vague, or not at all. Brake balance? Check data. Strategy shift? We're analyzing. But telemetry doesn't lie. Hamilton was left out of sync on key laps with outdated information. Was this incompetence? Or something more strategic? Adami is a Leclerc loyalist. That's not rumor. It's paddock reality. They've built trust over years. Now, enter Hamilton, the outsider, the threat. And suddenly, communication errors begin to pile up. This isn't just poor team cohesion, it's a fracture in Ferrari's internal hierarchy, a civil war in red. And if a 7-time world champion can't get clarity from his own engineer, then who's really driving the team's agenda? Trust is broken, and in F1, broken trust is more dangerous than broken parts. This wasn't written to enforce fairness, it was engineered to shift power. TD018 is being sold as a safety measure, a clarification of existing rules. But anyone who's spent time inside FIA meetings knows, language is a weapon. The wording is surgical, tailored to target a very specific aerodynamic philosophy, and it just happens to be the one Red Bull perfected. Sources confirm, Ferrari lobbied for this. Quietly, persistently, they brought simulations, footage, whisper campaigns. Flexi wings are dangerous, they said. What they meant, flexi wings are beating us. And now, with TD018 enforced, teams must prove their wings resist deformation under new, stricter load tests. That's not regulation, that's sabotage masked as safety. It's not about legality, it's about momentum. And the most sinister detail? Ferrari timed their own upgrade package to drop the same weekend. While others scramble to adapt, Maranello comes prepared. This isn't a rule change, it's a power move. And if you're wondering why Hamilton looked unfazed, maybe he knew the plan all along. When old names resurface with billion-dollar projects, ask yourself, what unfinished business are they reviving? Eric Boulier, to the casual fan, a forgotten name. To insiders, a political operator with unfinished battles in the paddock. Once team principal at Lotus, then McLaren. Now, mysteriously, he's behind a $1.2 billion plan to bring Formula One back to Africa, through Morocco. But this isn't just a race bid, it's a Trojan horse. Boullier never left the game. He just waited for the right opening, and this sudden Moroccan resurgence? Perfectly timed. South Africa was always the expected venue. Rwanda emerged as a surprise, but Morocco, with Boullier at the helm, comes with deeper connections, former Renault allies, European investor networks, and whispers of a new team interest forming around the project. Why does this matter now? Because expanding to new markets shifts the balance of F1 power, and those who control the circuits control the politics. Boullier isn't just reviving a Grand Prix, he's resurrecting leverage, and in F1, leverage means everything. Same upgrades, same team, yet one driver flies, the other fights shadows. Coincidence or coded favoritism? Ferrari insists both SF24s are identical, but telemetry tells a different story. In Monaco, Leclerc found balance, confidence, rhythm. Hamilton, he battled rear instability, unpredictable brake response, and inconsistent grip. All weekend, the data is damning. Leclerc enjoyed better traction in slow corners. Ferrari's Achilles heel. Hamilton, same complaints from FP1 to race day. Ride height tweaks, aero balance shifts, throttle mapping, all subtly tilted, designed to suit one driving style, not his. Inside sources whisper it plainly. The car is evolving around Leclerc. He's the continuity, the reference. Hamilton, the newcomer, isn't just catching up. He's being left out of the loop. Updates arrive filtered, feedback delayed. Not sabotage, but something quieter, more surgical. It's not just a performance gap, it's a developmental divide. Two cars, two philosophies, one quietly favored, and when setups don't lie, neither can Ferrari. When every outlet says the same thing, it's not journalism, it's choreography. Post-Monaco, the headlines were predictable. Leclerc's redemption, Hamilton adapting, Ferrari back on track. But behind those copy-paste praises, not a single outlet asked the real questions. Why was Hamilton over 50 seconds behind? Why did strategy diverge without explanation? Why is the radio between Lewis and Adami consistently tense and selectively ignored by F1 TV? These aren't technical gaps, they're narrative gaps, the kind that form when the story is too dangerous to tell, when the truth could burn reputations, or worse, expose favoritism. The British press, once Hamilton's guard dogs, now act like silent spectators. Italian media, focused only on Leclerc's home glory, and the official F1 channels, cut the radio clips that showed Hamilton pushing back. This isn't accidental, it's orchestration, because if the world starts asking the right questions, someone in red will have to answer, and Ferrari isn't ready for that, yet. You thought this was about speed, it was always about control. As the dust settles post-Monaco, the pieces are now visible. A technical directive timed to destabilize rivals, a two-tier garage where one car evolves and the other is left in limbo, a lead engineer whose silence screams agenda, and a media machine that edits discomfort out of the narrative. This isn't coincidence, it's strategy. Ferrari, long adrift in chaos, has found its weapon, manipulations of rules, perceptions, and even its own legacy. Hamilton, he's not just driving, he's detonating landmines beneath the system. Every frustrated radio, every second lost, every public silence, calculated. And now, with TD018 enforced and key upgrades installed, Ferrari positions itself not just to fight, but to dictate. But here's the twist, Hamilton knew. He joined not to chase a title, but to expose how titles are stolen. So now we ask, when the truth finally crashes through the walls of Maranello, who will be the hero? And who will be unmasked? Because this isn't the end of the story, it's just the moment we realize we've been watching the wrong one.